Namibia is hosting, I think you know this also because we've been on and on and on about this, is hosting the first global African Hydrogen Summit in Windhoek from the 3rd to the 5th of September. And it is themed from ambition to action, fueling Africa's industrial revolution. Now that already says so much. And also there's a lot of planning going on. September might seem far, but there's a lot to do. There is a lot to do. Now this event is set to highlight that is, obviously investment opportunities in hydrogen, as well as renewable infrastructure and more across the continent, actually. Heads of states are expected, energy miners, or rather ministers are expected, industry leaders are expected, and it's going to be quite, an exciting event. So Namibia, we have invited here this morning, that is Chukwuma Godfrey, who is the Managing Director of Vasco da Gama Energy, as well as the Director of DMG Events. That is Mr. Damian Howard. A very good morning, sir. How are you, sirs? How are you doing?
Good morning, Nicole.
Yes.
Good morning, Namibia.
All right, so there's a lot happening, not only in September, but this morning. Now, before we get there, Mr. Chukwuma, I'd like to start off with the importance of highlighting, this event on itself, the summit. It's something we've been looking forward to in the beginning of the year. We've been marking it off on our calendars. It's a big deal. It really, really is a big deal. But in terms of the specific opportunities for Namibia, in terms of advancing, hydrogen and renewable energy projects, what does this mean for us?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for your question, Nicole. Namibia is in a very unique position as the leading country in Africa for the entire hydrogen value chain. Specifically stated, Namibia has a vast amount of land and also enormous resources for renewable energy. And these are the two requirements that is required to be successful in green hydrogen and green ammonia production. So the interest in Namibia by the rest of Africa and in the world at large is quite great. So this is very exciting opportunity for ourselves.
Yes, most definitely. Mr. Howard, I think, speaking from the perspective of DMG events, choosing Namibia to host the summit, we've now heard, why it's so exciting and so on, but how do we bring it back to Namibia? And also, again, what unique advantages does this mean for us?
Absolutely. Good morning, Nicole. Good morning, Namibia. Thank you very much for hosting us and the question. So we have been engaged with our partners for at least 18 months in the preparations for this, in the deliberating for this. And I think we see this as a phenomenal opportunity, not just for Namibia, but for its cousins across Africa and, of course, the world, as a really timely opportunity to engage the full global hydrogen value chain. It's a nascent industry, not just in Namibia and Africa, but globally. And really we see this as being a critical time for those partnerships and collaborations to really be turbocharged and surge forward. There was a soft launch for the Global African Hydrogen Summit at COP28, which DMG Events were a partial organizer with the UNFCCC. And since then, it's been a roller coaster ride. I myself have traveled from Egypt to Morocco. We were in South Africa this week, Namibia this week. We're in Kenya next week, Mauritania the week after. So it's really about galvanizing those partnerships. And when we talk about partnerships, it is country-to-country partnerships. As Mr. Franklin said, it's really about driving the full opportunity across the value chain to come together and really assess the solutions to overcome the challenges, because there are many challenges. But Namibia's wealth of natural resource, of course, the vast land mass, but I think also the way we see it as an investor ourselves in Africa for over 20 years, is that Namibia has a unique positioning in its attractiveness to investors. And so that for us has made it a pleasure so far to really start the deliberations for the summit, but much easier as well to attract those international representatives.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Howard. Now, there's something else happening this morning. There's a press conference at Merck here, and that's at 8 o'clock. And I can tell you it's a jam-packed day already, but in terms of the press conference happening today, what can we expect? What are you, not only the outcomes, but in terms of what are we doing with, how are we going to action some of these outcomes today?
Okay, thank you very much again, Nicole. specifically stated because of the vast amount of interest that has been generated, also including the independent tax and tariff regimes and the political stability of being in Namibia. There is a global interest by investors and technologists and bankers and financiers to be part of this project. And from the theme of it, going from ambition to action, with the investment of over $10 billion that has been made by Hyphen Energy with the support of the government of Namibia. So there is so much intense interest by a lot of parties to be part of what we are trying to achieve. So this morning at the safari, the entire industry of the global hydrogen chain will be there to support what we are trying to do and to reinforce the fact that Namibia is a leading country in hydrogen on the African continent.
Thank you very much for that. Let's talk about some of the keynote speakers that will make up the program today, who will be taking the stage, other notable attendees. I think if there's one thing Namibia also wants to know, will you make a provision for like virtual attendees, for example? Like, how will we include other people as well if we can't be there physically?
Absolutely, Nicole. Inclusivity is foundational, as well as driving progress and impact for us as an organisation, but also with our partners. Today's press conference is really about ensuring that Namibia is aware of the opportunity. And so we have representatives from, as Mr. Godfrey said, from the diplomatic corps, from the university institutions, but as well as the private sector. We are delighted to be looking forward to hosting the CEO of the NIPDB, the chairman of the Green Hydrogen Council, as well as the commissioner for the Green Hydrogen Council. And we also have in attendance, as I mentioned, some really significant individuals, project developers, sponsors, investors. And really, it's about socializing, it's about raising awareness, and it's about advocating the opportunity, because we feel that across Africa, we're doing a lot of work with our messaging and to raise awareness, and globally, because certainly from a DMG standpoint, we have over 30 years presence within the energy sector. So we have stakeholders across the value chain who are aware of this, and that we're really looking to bring to the September summit. But I would say it's in Namibia that it's really important that everyone is aware, and not just in Windhoek, across the country. So we will have numerous different roadshows and knowledge awareness raising campaigns from here until September to ensure everyone can be involved.
That's fantastic, considering that we still have a few people that are a little bit skeptical, but the only way we can fix this is if we give the information and if we inform. You did mention partners and stakeholders. Who are your partners, and are you open to more partners still teaming up with you? Is there room for more partners?
We've only just started, haven't we, frankly?
Yeah, we have just only started, like Damian said. Our principal partner is the NIPDB of Namibia. Of course, there is Hyphen, and we also have international partners who are quite very keen. These are global players like the European Union delegation, for example. We have the GIZ, KfW out of Germany. We have the African Development Bank as principal partners. Locally, we have Rand Merchant Bank, we have Bank Windhoek, and the rest of them. Okay. So there is so much excitement that has been generated by what Namibia is trying to achieve in the global hydrogen value chain. And we are very honored to be a part of what Namibia is trying to do with global hydrogen and ammonia also. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, this is a big deal. I'll say that again. Staying with you, Mr. Godfrey, in terms of the role that African governments and private sector leaders can do to ensure, the successful transition for this ambition, what can be done?
Well, two things. As Africans, first and foremost, we have to be very cognizant and mindful of the need to see what the global trend is in terms of transitioning from fossil fuels into renewable energy. But at the same time, we also have to be very mindful that it will take a balance of energy mix, between fossil fuel and renewable energies to achieve industrialization of Africa. Yes.
Certainly. Mr. Howard, I want to go back to, the disseminating of information where you said, your road shows, you've got that planned. I know that you will also be open to exhibitors coming. When can they start applying, for example? When, for, potential interested exhibitors, when do you kick off, your road show? if I may?
We kicked off in November
Already,
last year.
already,
So we
okay.
actually, we started the road to Namibia September 2024 in September 2023. And so it is a journey. It's a journey for all of us, for DMG, for our partners, and of course our stakeholders. But that opportunity has been there, and I think it's now really about us. And today at the press conference, it's really about raising awareness, not just about the summit and the opportunity for Namibians and its partners across Africa and the world, but also how they can get involved. Because we have multiple pillars in terms of the actual initiatives at the summit. So there's the strategic conference, where we will have leading lights, technologists, but also academia and civil society represented. All those voices are critical at the table. And we will have in parallel the international exhibition that will showcase technology, it will showcase projects. And of course we have the third pillar, which is critical to this project, which is the investment roundtables. The project investment roundtables are, I would say, a critical pillar to the Global African Hydrogen Summit, because ultimately what we're trying to do is we're trying to drive critical investment into bankable African green energy projects. And so that's really looking at cross-border collaboration and not just looking at hydrogen and ammonia projects. We've had a number of projects submitted to us from Kenya, from Djibouti, from Mauritania, from Morocco, that cover industries such as cement, such as mobility, such as agriculture. So they're all looking at ways that they can green their operations, not only to be able to provide green industrialization within country, but also, for exports, for economic uplift as well.
I'm so excited about the future. All right, final words from your side, gentlemen, before we let you go.
Okay, thank you very much again, Nico. In addition to what Damien have just said, these are very exciting times for Namibia, and I just would like to say that there is ample opportunity for every sector of society to participate in the hydrogen value chain, whether it's in transport, whether it's in construction, whether it's in mobility, in education, in supply chain, in logistics. The opportunities are immense. So for entrepreneurs and young people who are curious about the hydrogen value chain, I think the Global African Hydrogen Summit is a very good avenue for us to start getting involved. Thanks.
And it's about partners and collaboration. This will not happen anywhere in the world. Forget about Namibia or Africa. This will not happen anywhere in the world without everyone coming together. And so that inclusivity piece for us, we call on everyone from across business, government, civil society to reach out to us to be engaged, because we need the challenge is hard to overcome, and those solutions will be devised through collaboration and partnerships to really drive progress and impact locally, across Africa and globally as well.
And how do they reach out to you?
They can contact us via the website. We've just hired a local sales representative who's working in partnership with DMG Events in Vasco da Gama. So where we have global coverage, team in London, team in Dubai, team in South Africa, and also a team here in Namibia. So again, it's about that inclusivity where we're all available and there to be reached out to. So please do.
All right, Mr. Chikuma, Mr. Howard, thank you so much for being here this morning. All the best with the press conference, and we look forward to some fruitful outcomes.
Thank you so much, Nicole.
Thank you for having us, Nicole.
Right. There you have it, Namibia. I think Mr. Chikuma Godfrey said it best here this morning. There are ample opportunities for everybody, almost in every sector. All right, we are talking about the Global African Hydrogen Summit that is slated, that is for the 3rd to the 5th of September. However, we are also talking about the press conference happening today at Mercure. Let's keep our eyes and our ears, that is on both DMG Events as well as Vasco da Gama Energy. All right, it is happening, and this year's theme is From Ambition to Action, which speaks so much, because we also don't want the talking, we want to see the action. So we are definitely keeping our eyes, that is on, PREPS, the summit, and so forth. We'll be back after the short break. Stay with us.